Hi, Diana and Thomas.
Hello.
Congratulations on the film. I just finished watching it and thought it was a really beautiful, really beautiful film. So I'm excited to talk to you about it today. Diana, why don't you start with you? Tell us a little bit about where your character Maggie is and
Hmm.
sort of what she's seeking by trying to reconnect with her dad.
Yeah. Well, this is something that we really spent a lot of time crafting, Thomas, Alex, and I, because we really wanted to represent what that would feel like, not having somebody in your life for 10 years and what that reconnection might be, especially as there's different entry points, as it is. Relationships are complicated, as many, I think probably all of us know from our own personal lives. And so this was, I'm coming to him with something that I want to share. There's a very big life-changing moment. And who I find is somebody that I don't really recognize. He's a very different man to the man that I left behind a decade prior. Naturally, I'm a very different woman than I was 10 years prior. And so we really wanted to understand how to balance those dualities and explore what that was to reconnect with each other.
Yeah. Thomas, talk a little bit about your character and how he's relating to his daughter at this moment, and there's some real friction there when they first reconnect.
Um, Clearly we're in the midst of a lightning thunderstorm here
Oh my goodness.
in New Orleans,
Yeah.
Louisiana. It's completely, he's emotionally blindsided by Maggie, Maggie, appearing because he has, and I'm sort of saying the obvious, there's just this reclusive, nest that no one is welcome to. And in fact, I think, it's fairly evident in his demeanor throughout that any presence is sort of considered to be a threat. But Maggie presents a very, very different emotional threat. And that is, I have an obligation to at least, and it certainly isn't apparent at the beginning, but I know it's there, that she's made this journey to reestablish an emotional relationship, and that's sort of like, that to me is like this very slow, methodical evolution that he has to accept. This is my daughter, and all of those daughter father responsibilities that I abandoned, I have to find a way to there has to be some recompense for what happened, or recompense, how you said, there just does, there has to be a reckoning for the last 10 years. And however reluctant or even defiant that Lloyd is about it, that to me, that's the journey, that she's not going to let him get away with it. she's not going to let him run away. And that's really, to me, what the narrative is about, what the emotional journey is with the two of them, is that.
Yeah. But there's some sort of sense of identification. I mean, Diana, your character, she says, I am you, I leave quicker, which I thought was really interesting because I think that's something that all kids realize about their parents, that even in their negative qualities, that there's something, I am you.
There's an absorption, and we, from 1 to 8, I think it is, that's when you're imprinting everything that you learn and observe about the world and your family dynamics, those are things that stay with you, whether you alter them or keep them in your toolbox. And this is just, there was so much to love about these characters and this connection that they're searching for. I think also telling this story out of being in isolation and the experience that we all went through, to me, it was ever the more appealing to mount a project like this and understand what that's like, and how these characters were going to find that, new religion, even because for Maggie, she has to understand this new person in front of her, this different version of her father, though he has, some of the things that she remembers and the qualities he remembers, and believe in something bigger than herself, because he does. And if I'm to connect with him, I have to go on that journey with him and try to understand what this is, him communicating with, it's surprising and beautiful where they go in this film.
Yeah. Thomas, talk a little bit about that. I mean, about his, he's in a maybe slightly losing touch with reality, but he has these beliefs and these bigger things. Talk a little bit about where he's coming from in this quest.
Well, we never really defined, there is something going on with him, with Lloyd, with Dad, that it's a degeneration of some sort. And, we never really wanted to put a label on it, but he's not, if there's nobody there to observe it, and obviously suddenly it's Maggie who is there to observe it. But if nobody's there to observe it, I don't even know that Lloyd's aware that it's happening, that he just, every day he wakes up and he just begins his march forward. And he has, for lack of a better descriptive, he just has these fixations, whether it's the music, whether it's ranting at any presence that he finds unwelcome. But with the ETI, it's almost, it's a parallel universe that he is certain. He just has this almost like a macular certainty that they are communicating. He's a reality to them, they're a reality to him. And obviously she, when he introduces this to Maggie, she's very skeptical of it, but then she kind of, because he's so forceful with his beliefs, that I believe, and I think it's an important reflective dynamic in their journey together, that there is this kind of retrograde that brings them together.
Yeah.
And everything that Maggie has brought along with her and everything that Lloyd has sort of drug along with himself, it somehow or another, it becomes like just this shared, I'll say burden, but also perhaps a shared enlightenment.
Yeah. The other thing I thought was really beautiful about the film was just this quality of the cycle of life, and something that we all experience. Parents die, life, a new generation comes, and there was just something very sort of beautiful, a little bit haunting about the film that talk a little bit about that sort of feeling in the film about this sort of cycle of life and
Well, I think that's very well put, and I think depending on what your unique journey is, sometimes you're privy to that earlier than others. My father's been sick since I was 15 years old, and I've mourned I've had many different versions of him, and I've had to put to bed ones that I remembered as a younger person, and it's complicated because there is beauty to that as well. We've had to reinvent our relationship as it is. And I think I'm more equipped to help a friend with what that journey is when they experience it, probably later than I have, and then I think as it relates to our film, watching them in nature as nature changes and their relationship is changing, and there's other aspects of the film that I don't want to fully give away, but as you watch this journey, you will realize that rebirth and growth and exploration is present in this journey. And I do think there's a lot to take away from this film as far as reflection, for your own unique story in life. And that was one of the things that I loved the most about this film.